Hello.
Hey, nice. Okay, we are recording now.
Fabulous.
Never want to miss a opportunity to get good content.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
learning that. And then let me see. Um, I'm gonna make my video. There we go. Okay. Um, and then okay, ready for better quality. See how? Tell me how much how much better the quality gets when I do this.
Oh, that's
Is it
actually,
is it like substantially better?
yeah, I would say that's
Okay.
substantially better.
Cool. Yeah, I got my actual camera set up as a webcam. I wanted to start doing that more. So if
Yeah.
you can tell a difference, I was on a Zoom call the other day with a lady, and my camera died when we were doing it, and then we went
Yeah.
back to my normal camera. And she's like, I couldn't even tell a difference. I'm like,
Oh, I
pretty sure
noticed.
now. Okay, cool. I'll be
Yeah.
right back. I'm gonna go pee real quick.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So the question that I had asked, just to
Yes.
reiterate, was in the early stages of your business, how did you go about um, creating a compelling offer that actually got your clients to want to do business with you? And then how'd you learn how to communicate that offer in a compelling way?
Yeah. Well, so as I mentioned earlier, I failed at it a bunch of times before. Like if I I don't even know how much time, how many hours, how many days worth I spent last year building a new offer and reconfiguring my website and all of that stuff. And trying to give it away for free and literally not even being able to give it away for free. And that was happening because I was still a little bit unclear on exactly what I was doing and exactly who I was talking to. I was building offers based on what I was interested in. So I
Mm,
was building what I wanted to do, not what people needed. And I therefore was not able to communicate it in a way that got anyone excited. Um, at the end of last year, I finally started to refine a little bit. And it ended up working out. I had a whole bunch of health stuff happen at the end of last year, and I had been trying to launch the first iteration of my one-on-one program. I got one high ticket client inside that, and she's not my client anymore, but she's my personal friend. But she was just the perfect person for me to start working out this offer with. Like I started doing the steps with her, and I learned so much from getting my first client and just working with a real person. And then when I came back in the beginning of January, I was like, okay, I understand a little bit more now what I should be doing. Really, you've probably heard this before from a lot of marketing gurus and people, but it's so true. The outcome of your offer is what matters. And when you first start out in business and when you first start out in social media, like the urge for you to you feel a little insecure in what you're doing, right? Because you're inexperienced, and the urge to just stack up all the stuff that you're doing for them is so strong. You just want to be like, yeah, you're going to get this many calls, and you're going to be, and you're going to get this many worksheets, and this is all the stuff that I built, and look, see how valuable it is. You have to resist that urge though, because
mm,
they don't care about that stuff. Ultimately, what you have to get good at is saying, this is the transformation that you're going to get. This is what you're going to come out, or this is how you'll come out different from working with me. And then secondarily, here's how we get there. So, the refinement in my program over the last year, like the way that I just sold it, which was real successful. Like I would call my close rate once I get someone actually on a call, on a video call, probably like 50% this round.
It's pretty solid.
That's good. That's really
Yeah.
good. The first round of my program, it was like 70%. You know, I didn't get as many calls. I closed more people. This time I got a lot more calls. Um, but so this time I broke it down into three things. So first of all, on my page, I do a whole lot of setup for telling people why their actual problem is not just lacking confidence. It's a layer deeper than that. It's self-awareness. So that's what I'm trying to do on my entire page. All of them is trying to give them these aha moments of going, this is your actual problem. So when I get them on a call and when we talk through all of their stuff and I do a whole bunch of listening at the beginning, then I'm like, so your problem is actually you're lacking self-awareness. So what you're going to do in this program is we're going to massively increase your self-awareness and therefore your confidence, your professional self-awareness. We're going to build your personal brand, which just happens naturally with that first part. And then we're going to learn some of these nebulous corporate soft skills, as I call them. And so it's a set of three things. And I don't actually, you know, and then afterwards I'm like, yeah, you get 6 one-on-one calls with me. Like all of that becomes ancillary. I'm not leading with the stuff of the offer. I'm leading with this is what's going to happen to you in the
Okay.
offer.
You're leading with the transformation and the, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, the transformation and then the deliverables. You're selling a result. You're not selling deliverables.
Yes. The
Okay.
deliverables becomes just a bullet point. It's like, by the way, here's how we're going to get there.
Like these are the pieces, but you're not buying into this program to receive or to do this exercise and learn this skill. It's like you're going to become this kind of person.
Exactly. And I actually want a customer back because she came back to me and was like, hey, I talked to this other coach and they're offering me a longer time period for less money. And so, you know, what can we do about this? And I said, well, you know, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you could work with someone for 6 months and maybe not get the results that you're looking for. I said, you really shouldn't be looking at the amount of time or the amount of money. You should be looking at what outcome you're wanting to get. And then I just reiterated those exact points to her. And I said, this is what I'm offering you. So, you know, that's all I have to say. And she was like, okay, I'll work with you. Like,
Yeah.
okay, fabulous. Like we're a good fit then. So
Okay. I have a question for you. So I hear a lot of people talking about building personal brands and personal brands
yeah.
being the future of business.
Mm-hmm.
Like who do you think should be thinking about building a personal brand right now? Like anybody and everybody, or
Anyone who's working, I have something to say on this, Brandon,
okay,
because
tell me.
I think that I have never read an article from Harvard Business Review, from anyone, where them explaining what a freaking personal brand is makes sense. I think that this concept is so overcomplicated on
Mm,
LinkedIn, everywhere that it's being talked about. The way that I teach personal branding is that it comes down to two things. Your personal brand in any professional environment comes down to the specific value that you provide and the experience that people consistently have with you. And by
mm,
experience that people consistently have with you, I mean, what is it like for me to go sit in Brandon's office and talk to you? Are you the type person who, you know, you're gonna like, I've worked for leaders like this too, male, female, where they're real emotional and they're real deep. And I'm gonna go in there and tell them my problem and they're gonna see me and they're gonna make me feel so hurt. And I'm probably gonna cry a little bit and I'm gonna leave going, oh my God, that was so amazing. That's the experience that I have with that person.
mm.
Um, I think that the most important thing, and we're just turning this into a whole podcast,
I love it. I love it.
the most important thing that any professional can do is learn how to describe how their brain works. Because at the end of the day, we can all have the same set of hard skills, but me being able to describe to you how I think and how I approach things, that's telling you the specific type of value that I provide, and that's telling you what type of experience you're going to have with me. So for instance, so an exercise that I have all my clients do, what we work up to with all of this self-awareness work is coming up with what I call a little back pocket blurb. So it's called back pocket because you'll get so familiar with it that it just kind of lives in your back pocket and you can whip out all or part of it in any professional scenario to describe yourself in a real way. So the way that I would describe myself, I always tell people, so I'm an exponential thinker and I'm a long-term thinker. So in anything I do, no matter where you put me, I'm always going to be thinking, how can I create the most amount of value for the most amount of people for the longest period of time? And how can we do the most with the least? I'm a very foundational thinker. So I want to like start at the bottom, be like, what will create the most disproportionate impact of results? I'm not someone who thinks in my lane. I can stay in my lane. I can have discernment, but I'm definitely not going to think in my lane. So do you hear like how I'm describing how I go about things? And most people are not able to do that yet. But if you can, it really, really sets you apart.
Mm. What would you say are the key activities that I guess somebody, or what are the few things that like a actually I just had another question that came up. Is personal branding something that you know entrepreneurs like coaches and consultants and people who are offering courses, or is that something that is personal branding reserved for these kind of business owners, or should the local home construction business owner or HVAC business owner be concerned with building a personal brand? And is there any benefit to that type of entrepreneur?
You know, I think that's a good question. I really don't know. With the service provider like that, as a homeowner, I don't know. I think I might be more concerned with the brand's values. I think there's some confusion sometimes as to what type of business owner you are and what you should be leaning into. I mean, if you're just straight up retail or you're doing that type of home service that everyone needs, maybe you lean more into like your brand's values and your brand's
Mm.
differentiators and things like that.
Okay, I like
But
that.
yeah.
How can people go about discovering their own voice? Because I feel like people have to understand themselves before they can project out to the world a a solid brand. So, I mean, would you say you have to, understand yourself before you should start diving down building a brand, or do you
Oh,
just start
absolutely.
putting content out?
Absolutely. Well, okay. So those are two separate questions, I feel. If we're talking about
Okay.
professionals in the professional environment, absolutely. You need to do a lot of self-awareness work in order to build your personal brand. Now, if you're just an entrepreneur starting and getting on social media, like you and I were talking about last week or the week before, there is so much value in just starting,
Mm-hmm.
because this is the biggest problem. And I've felt this and I've seen this in all of my, business best friends and all of that. There's so much fear in just starting. And people will use any excuse to be like, oh, I'm not quite ready. I'm not quite ready to start posting. I got to figure out, I got to get all my ducks in a row. No, you don't. Because the process of posting content and just seeing what works is the process of self-awareness for that person.
The process of posting content is the process of self-awareness. Can you
Yeah.
expand on that?
If you're tuned into, if you are open, number one, if you have a growth mindset and you're like, I accept, not only do I accept, but I expect that I am going to suck at this right now. I'm going to make some cringy videos. I'm going to be weird, and I'm not going to be like the most polished person ever.
Be the cringe. Yeah.
Be the cringe, and I'm ready to do that. Um, so I'm going to do that. And then, through this process of posting, I'm going to start to get a better feel of what is it that I really love to talk about? What are people responding well to? And through that, how do I feel when people are responding well to this content? And you just kind of hone in over time to the actual message that, or the actual niche that you are really targeting. And I think that
Mm.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. So can you get into a little more tactically speaking on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, like how could I be um, making my own content and the messaging in it a little bit better every single day, testing new things, testing different formats, testing like,
Mhm.
how do I what is the tactical process of eventually getting to a place of hyper relatability
Mm.
and building a personal brand in the process?
So I think you and I talked about this before, lowering the production benchmark for yourself.
Mm.
I don't know how you feel about this because you are literally in video marketing
That's the
and
thing is, yeah, I've thought about it because for me, like, I think iPhone shot videos work for 95% of people, but it's like if I'm a video, like if my
Mhm.
service is video production, I should
Sure.
probably have good quality production on my
Yeah.
videos, you know?
But let me challenge you a little bit because
Yeah.
all of your videos are that quality, right?
Not all of them. I do
Yeah.
have a handful of iPhone ones that are like just me.
Yeah.
Like I took one yesterday. I was on a run in the woods and I was just like I pulled up my phone and I was hot and sweaty and I was like, here's the reason I run. And I
Yeah.
put that on my story. So I do sprinkle some in there.
That's
Um,
good. That's
okay.
good. And I would encourage you to continue because here's the thing. Number one, if you set the bar here and leave it there, then there's a whole bunch of stuff that can happen that you can justify to yourself, oh, I can't shoot content right now, or oh, I can't post right now
Mm,
because I haven't done all of the things.
yeah.
Number two, okay, you know how a lot of podcasts have like series within the podcast? So, they'll have like this week or today we're dropping this interview and then I have this other little series where I just talk to you for like 15 minutes. There's like two different formats of content within the same podcast. And I think the same thing works for any social media channel. So like you, for instance, you have these amazingly shot, really cool, visually appealing videos. If you also have, a subset of just like casual, I'm just out and about. This is the real Brandon. This is me in everyday life. I'm not polished. I'm just talking to you.
Hmm.
That will definitely build your personal brand. It gets your followers used to seeing you in multiple types of contexts, like, especially early on in your journey. That way, later on, if you decide to pop up and start just like talking to them casually, they're not like, whoa, oh my God, like this is jarring. I'm only
Hmm.
used to seeing you in this super polished manner.
Okay.
So, yeah.
As an entrepreneur looking to build, or for entrepreneurs looking to build personal brands utilizing social media, would you say should people be focused on LinkedIn, the Meta platforms, TikTok, all of them? Like how widespread is it different for every entrepreneur in their industry, or how do you choose a
Yeah,
platform to like put your energy into?
really. I think that's such a good question. My hard and fast advice, my personally, and I'm not a guru on this, but I think you should pick two only. If you're a
Oh.
solopreneur, I think you should pick only two platforms because you have a cap on how much you can accomplish until you can afford to hire someone to help you with all of the other platforms. So you should pick an outreach platform and a nurturing platform. Now, the vast
Ooh, okay.
majority,
Outreach and nurturing platform.
yes,
I like
yes.
this. Okay.
And this is common terminology in the world of social media marketing, but and they'll always talk about you should do like TikTok and Instagram. Instagram is a nurturing platform with the
Hmm.
stories and the everything. Like Instagram is where most business owners are going to nurture that relationship with their people. So TikTok, it's easy to go viral. Anyone can be successful on TikTok. You can bring in a lot of new people and then you funnel people to Instagram and that's where they really get to know you. They say, "Oh, this is a real person." Okay, they'll lurk for a couple months and then they'll probably buy from you, hopefully. Um, I I just I couldn't deal with Instagram. Like it wasn't for me. And
Hmm.
because my niche is professionals, I decided to switch my nurturing platform to LinkedIn, which definitely is a nurturing platform. It's different types of content. It's
Hmm.
written content. It's a lot of storytelling content. So it's definitely a very valid nurturing platform. And for me, I just enjoyed being on there more. There's more opportunities for me there. So I will definitely come back to Instagram, and I would like to expand to YouTube and all of that. But I think the worst thing any solopreneur can do is to think that they have to prioritize being on all the platforms. They have to just cast such a wide net. You should have more than one, because if something happens to you on one platform, of course you want to have a backup. But it's foolish to, try to spread your time across that many different platforms.
Mm, that's really good stuff. Yeah. So could Instagram still be an outreach platform though? Because virality is definitely,
It
very,
happens on
very real on
Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah.
It definitely happens. I think it's a lot slower than it could be on other platforms. I don't know
Okay.
much about YouTube. Um, and some people, so I follow other creators in the career space too. And I've noticed that if you have such a high affinity for one platform, like you are just really feeling it, you enjoy being on it, you know how to work it well, then as a solopreneur, put your time into that. Like I've seen
hmm
a girl who, hasn't done very well on TikTok, but now has far surpassed me on Instagram. Like that is her platform and people really like her there. Yeah,
Okay. So like if you enjoy a platform, then stick with it because that's going to be more sustainable. If you like it,
exactly.
odds are you're going to be more consistent.
Exactly.
Um, can you talk a little bit about like, because I just 2 weeks ago I decided I'm actually going to start taking content for myself seriously. So I'm still very new on this. Like
Yeah.
what should be the expectations that one has at the beginning of their journey of getting serious about content? Like how long should you expect to actually have to be consistent with basically zero results before you start seeing anything coming of it?
Um, at least months, at
Yeah.
least multiple months. And here's my perspective on it. And some people will disagree, but even today, I still find value. I'm not a batch planner. So many people will tell
Mm,
you, you need to spend, just batch plan everything and film everything all at once. And if you're that type of person, that is amazing. So happy
mhm,
for you. I personally have not gotten to that point, and I find a lot of value in being forced to talk about what I'm doing and talk to my audience most days when I film. So I know I told you that at the beginning of my journey, I was batch planning, and I was making it high production value, and I was setting the barrier really high for me, because I was like, I got to get dressed up, I got to be in front of my bookcase, like this is my style of video that I'm
mhm,
doing. And I found that so much more exhausting than what I'm doing now, and I was scripting everything. Now I script nothing. Now,
mm,
I went from, it took me like 3 hours to film and post and edit a video. And now it's 10 minutes from ideation to me saying the video to me just trimming it up really quick and just doing it. Um, and now I'm getting to the point in my career where I'm doing podcasts and looking at speaking opportunities and all of that. So for me personally, I'm like, I want to be talking about what I'm doing and talking directly to my people on a daily basis.
mm. Do you have like bullet points of what you're going to talk about during a video, or you just kind of hit record, or like you have a general topic in mind and then you just hit record and go? Or do you
Yeah.
structure it at
So
all?
I I think about what's the point I'm trying to make in this video, and then what would be a good hook. And
Okay.
that's what I go with. Definitely I put effort into the hook, which we also talked about this. If you'll look at my page, I use the same hooks over and over and over again. And a lot of
Oh,
creators do this.
okay.
And, that's another way to kind of lower the bar for yourself, lower the stakes for yourself. Like you do not have to reinvent the wheel every time. I don't
Mm,
use the same hook for every single video because that would be obnoxious. But I mean, for a lot of them, I start them with, if you're a high performer with low confidence, and I do this hand gesture, and it gets the people it's supposed to get, you know?
wow. Okay. I didn't even know that, like that you can reuse and recycle the same hooks over and over again
Yes.
and it continues to perform. So do
Yes.
you do you have any kind of system with your content creation, or is it all like do you record do you have a ritual where you record one every single day, or like how
Personally,
how much do you plan or organize it?
not a lot. And this is an area that I can grow into, but let's keep in mind where I am in my business right now.
Hmm.
I've gone through a couple of rounds of, so right now, now is the selling season. Now I'm trying to fill up my group program, and now I'm in my group program and I'm just trying to keep the people that I have engaged. Um, I just launched a low ticket membership for my content because I'm now leaving my season of one-on-one work as a coach. Next year, I'm pivoting to corporate, but I have, 120,000 people on this TikTok account, and I want to stay connected to them. Like these people are my heart and soul, and I may grow into doing a whole bunch of other stuff, but I want to stay connected with these people. So now I have a low ticket membership, and now I'm kind of pivoting towards developing content that is specifically meant to drive people to that. Um, I've always just been someone who films in bursts personally. And
Hmm.
I know a lot of people say this isn't a good idea because you're not always going to feel inspired. And I think that's true, but I also think it's important to remember that TikTok content has a pretty long life. Like
Hmm.
there's a video that I posted 4 or 5 months ago. It's been blowing up recently. And it's one of my
Wow.
high volume, bring in a lot of new people videos. So I will, sometimes I'll post 3, 4 times a day for a week, and then I'll go a couple weeks without posting. And it's still like bringing in people. And it just depends on where I'm at in my business. Because if I'm not actively recruiting for anything, I'm kind of like, this is lower priority for me as a solopreneur right now.
Mm, that makes sense.
Future me who has the resources to hire people and be consistent everywhere, that's great, but I think you have to really prioritize like what is important at any given moment when you're a solopreneur.
Mm. Okay, I'm about to have to hop off, but
Yeah.
I have one more question. It's particularly, I feel like, has been on my mind lately. So, how, like, at what point did you feel comfortable and confident in your amount of expertise and knowledge to feel, uh, like, like you didn't feel dirty
Yeah.
selling your own knowledge to people? You know, like, I feel like a lot of people get in their own heads of I can't teach, and this is content or coaching or anything. Like I can't teach because I'm not an expert. Like what's your thought on that? Like, do you need to be a subject matter expert to to sell a course or to teach people? Um, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. I know this feeling so well. And I would say I was deep into this feeling when I filled up my first group program at the beginning of the year. And I actually had in my sales call script, just in case they ask me this question: how many clients have you had before? Why are you qualified to teach this? Blah, blah, blah. I had written out all of these answers. So I was like, just in case anyone hits me with this, I want to be able to answer it. But the point is, I think that you should just speak to what you do know and not try to compensate and highlight and caveat and be like, well, here are all the things that I don't know. Like you don't want to plant seeds in people's minds, and you're not trying to be dishonest and be like, promise things that you can't actually promise. You want to stick to what you do know. And then every time you get a client, you want to learn every single thing that you can so that
Mm,
you're coming to the very next client a leveled up version of yourself. And what I found with that first round of my program is that, like I said, that video that brought everyone in offered no value, no advice, no education, except for the fact that everyone who saw it violently identified with it.
violently identified.
They
I love
just
that.
felt so, they were like, that's me. And that was enough for them. They were like, if this girl can articulate it that well, she must be able to help me. And
Mm,
so, I knew that I had a good framework and that I could do something for them, and I was just going to go into it and learn as I went and aggressively apply all of my learnings.
I love it. I love that. I'm gonna start using that. violently
Yes.
identify.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is so funny. I did not expect this to turn into a little podcast, but hey,
You
I'm so
prompted
happy
me.
with the direction
You
it
got me
took.
so fired up. Like, I love talking about this stuff actually. So thank you, because this was a really fun conversation for me.
Oh,
So
awesome. Sweet. I love trying to find things that like people love to talk about and like are really great at talking about and then just asking questions about it because I
yeah,
learned so much.
yeah,
Um, well, I would love to stay connected.
yeah.
I'm sure we will.
We will.
Thank
And
you.
I know you have to go, but next time I would love to hear more about where you're at in your journey. I would love to hear however I can help you. And I think you have a good foundation of at least the social skills part of what you need to like build a successful business. I mean, you're clearly nurturing your relationships. That's huge. So many people in their early 20s, including myself, did not keep in touch with people, did not value relationships, but that is the most important part. So
Totally.
I'm excited to see what you grow into.
Thank you so much. I am too. Maybe if you're open to it, we could do another um conversation slash even podcast next week. Um,
I'm
I don't
traveling next
know.
week.
Oh,
The
you
week
are?
after
Okay.
I could
Week
do, but
after? Cool.
yeah,
Sweet. Well, I would love that.
yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Well, I'll be in touch.
Cool.
Thanks so much,
Okay.
Marissa. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day.
All right. You too. Bye.